Tomato Lorenzo, she is attacking socialism on her show here. It looks like some sort of special episode that she's doing. Like, you know, she acts like this is like investigative reporting. I spoke to a bunch of right-wing hacks who formerly lived in a place that I think is bad. And now we're going to use that to bash entire ideological schools of thought that I know nothing about. I love this because of how much it lacks any subtlety or nuance. It's just like heavy-handed propaganda. So take a look at this. Also, pay specific attention to like the music in the background and the arguments they make and how over the top this is.
What I'm really glad that you're doing is telling the stories and educating people on what socialism, communism, what those things actually are, because I tell you, I talk to a lot of young people just like you do, and they don't know what socialism is.
I see an opportunity to show them what it really is.
I watched Venezuela collapse under socialism. That economic system is a catastrophic failure. It will destroy the United States if implemented.
They want big government to control you. They want to take away your freedom.
If we allow socialism to take over this country, we're all doomed.
By adding emotion and storytelling of the people who have lived through socialism and the people who have their true American dream, that's how we're going to reach our generation.
Everything about that, amazing. Everything about that. Even the last screen of her like putting her finger up, like, please, I'm about to drop some knowledge on all of you. Come on, man, it's so stupid. Okay, so there's a couple things it's just chef's kiss, mwah, wonderful. I like when she says, you know, I talk to these people today, they don't even know what socialism is. And it's like, you didn't even bother to define it in your freaking promo clip. Like, Tomi Lahren is going to keep it real with you about socialism, and I can guarantee you they never even define it. Or if they do define it, it's their made-up version. It's not like actual socialism. She's not going to treat her opponents and detractors honestly, accurately characterize their beliefs, and then disagree with it. Because that would require too much intellectual firepower. What she's going to do is just tell her opponents and detractors, here's what you believe. Here's what I'm going to tell you believe, and now I'm going to beat that straw man to death. Well, congratulations. How bold, how brave, how courageous, how deep. It's so stupid. And then, you know, she goes on to further prove that I'm correct in that characterization by saying, by having people there like, Venezuela has been a catastrophic failure. Now, what are the chances? First of all the factors are relevant when talking about Venezuela, but what are the chances she actually brings up all the factors? Will she bring up, for example, the catastrophic U.S. sanctions against that country? Or will she just totally sidestep it and ignore it and act like that has no impact on the economy when it in fact has a gigantic impact on the economy? I can, with 100% certainty, I can tell you she will not bring up the U.S. sanctions against Venezuela and how that's impacted industries over there. There's no way she'll bring it up, even though it is definitely relevant to the picture. Now, am I saying that, you can only blame the sanctions for what's happening over there? No, I'm not saying that at all. But what she is going to say is the equal and opposite untrue thing, which is that, it has nothing to do with U.S. sanctions. She's not going to mention it. It's Maduro and socialism and all that stuff. The operative problem in all of these countries that she is characterizing as they're just socialist is the authoritarianism. That's the problem. The problem is authoritarianism, whether it's left-wing authoritarianism or right-wing authoritarianism. That's the issue when the government gets involved way too much in your social life and is heavy-handed and unintelligent with micromanaging the economy. Like, that's the problem. The authoritarianism is the operative thing that's terrible. But what she wants to do is conflate in people's minds socialism equals authoritarianism, full stop. That's what she's trying to do there. And she actually, has one of her people here say, like, big government is going to control you. This is what we mean by socialism. How many times do we have to respond to this point directly, and then they ignore it and act like we never responded to it? When we say, hey, man, listen, the most analogous thing to what like Bernie is calling for, she would call Bernie a socialist. He says he's a democratic socialist. In reality, he's a social democrat. He's just talking about Sweden. He's just talking about Norway. The idea that that's like some sort of hellhole and it's, oh my God, people are trying to escape from the devastating situation that is Norway. It's so oppressive to have healthcare and education and really good wages and paid time off. It's like, can you please have an honest conversation about this? But she can't, because when the left, when social democrats, when many people who describe themselves as socialist explain what they're in favor of, it's like the positions are overwhelmingly popular in the United States. They are empirically workable and very successful in Scandinavia. And they're, eminently doable here and perfectly reasonable. So it's just embarrassing. And then also, there's a rich tradition in the U.S. of this stuff, whether it's Eugene Debs, whether it's FDR and the New Deal, whether it's Martin Luther King Jr., the union movement. Like, all these things have massive successes, but she doesn't, like, these left-wing movements, she just discounts all of the things that left movements have done that have worked and have been successful. And she strawmans socialism and leftism by just saying, Venezuela. And that's never going to work. Like, Sagar from Hill TV talks about this all the time. He's a right-wing populist. And he's like, he screams at the right and says, you guys don't get it. You can't just, that's not a debate. That's not a point. That's not an argument. You don't just get to scream Venezuela when we're in the midst of these detailed policy debates and discussions and think you won the debate. Big bad Venezuela. End of conversation. Moving on. No. But I have somebody here who was in Venezuela. So now I win. But no, Bernie's not talking about Venezuela. But freaking AOC's not talking about Venezuela. Nobody brought up Venezuela. You brought up Venezuela. They didn't bring up Venezuela. They brought up the rich tradition of democratic socialism in the U.S. They brought up, the Scandinavian model. This is what people are talking about. This is basic economic stuff, man. And the numbers show those countries are way more successful than the United States is. In so many relevant areas, they kick our butt. They kick our butt. Like I said, paid time off. They get a lot of it. We get none of it. Paid time off by law. I should be clear and say that. Healthcare system. Their healthcare systems kick our butts. Education. Many of the countries that she would describe as socialist have free college. And she would act like that's crazy. Blah, blah, blah. But, we have free high school in this country. We have free elementary school in this country. Is that crazy? I mean, maybe she'd say yes. But if she says yes, that's a deeply unpopular position. So it's just embarrassing. Like, this is their front line of defense, man. This is what it is. It's all the socialists are just Venezuela. How about you have a conversation with an actual socialist who's intelligent, who can break it down and can explain? Because I'm just a mild social democrat. But even if she attacks socialism, talk to Professor Richard Wolff. He will run circles around you. Ben Burgess would run circles around you. It would be embarrassing. Because when people explain it in simple terms and their ideology and their philosophy, it's digestible and it's reasonable, and my guess is she would not be able to respond without insisting that they are saying something they aren't saying and that they support something and a government that they don't support. So that says something about the strength of her argument, that she can't digest what the opponent is saying and then respond to it. She has to go, no, you believe in Maduro, you believe in Venezuela, you believe in authoritarianism, and everybody be afraid. Well, I hope you're intellectually satisfied with, strawmanning everybody from now until the end of time instead of engaging in honest discourse.